Under the quiet Anatolian sky, scanners sweep across limestone and dust. Signals bounce, echo, fade, and then return. Patterns emerge. Perfect circles, geometric voids, deep chambers that were never touched by light. The data doesn't lie. Something immense, structured, lies beneath the already massive complex. If that's true, then Göbekli Tepe, the world's first known sanctuary, may be far more than a temple. It might be a hidden city, a library of stone buried long before writing ever existed. And the people who built it were not supposed to be capable of such a thing. In 1994, a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt stood here, puzzled. He brushed his hand across a curved limestone pillar, carved with a fox and a vulture. It was man-made, a mound of buried architecture dating back to around 9600 BCE. Back then, humans were supposed to be simple hunter-gatherers, wandering, not building. No farming. Yet here they had carved 10-ton pillars, perfectly aligned, arranged in great circles, each one taller than a man. Each one shaped like the letter T, stylized human figures standing in silent congregation. Archaeologists found dozens of them, buried deliberately beneath tons of backfill. For decades, that mystery defined Göbekli Tepe. The carvings tell stories: snakes coiling in stone, scorpions crawling over reliefs, wild boars, vultures, lions, foxes. A bestiary of the Ice Age world, and yet their style is deliberate, symmetrical, organized, intelligent. The builders weren't carving randomly. They were recording something. Some pillars show human arms crossed on their bellies. Others face inward, as if forming a gathering. The whole site feels alive, frozen mid-ceremony. Then comes the strangest clue of all. Every enclosure was buried soon after construction, not destroyed, entombed. Why would anyone bury their sacred site? Was it protection? A ritual closure? Or something darker? A knowledge that had to be hidden. In 2025, researchers used ground-penetrating radar and magnetometry to peer beneath the unexcavated parts of the mound. What they found rewrote the map. The scans revealed multiple circular structures, perfectly geometric voids, aligned with the already known enclosures above. And in the center of it all, a large rectangular anomaly, consistent with walls, corridors, maybe even a hall. If confirmed, this would mean Göbekli Tepe isn't a single cluster of temples. It's part of a vast subterranean complex, still buried under 90% of the mound. The radar images showed patterns too deliberate. One archaeologist described it as a ghost city. Some say it's only soil disturbances, the ghost of erosion and geology. But others suspect architecture. Because at Göbekli Tepe, impossible architecture has already happened once. Science once told us that architecture was born from agriculture, that people built temples only after they settled down to farm. But Göbekli Tepe turns that story upside down. Here, it was ritual that came first, and agriculture that followed. Think about that reversal. The very idea of civilization, law, community, and labor might have begun not in the fields, but around a sacred fire. People came together to worship, and to feed that worship, they began to plant, harvest, and store. Göbekli Tepe isn't just an archaeological site. It's a turning point in human consciousness, the moment imagination became architecture. And now, with subsurface scans revealing more enclosures, that turning point just got much larger. Because if there are deeper layers, older ones, what does that mean for the origin of organized society? Mainstream scholars are cautious. They say the radar data must be interpreted carefully. Soil density can mimic walls. Still, even conservative estimates suggest 16 more enclosures hidden below, and each could be 1,000 years older than those we've already uncovered. Dr. Lee Clare, from the German Archaeological Institute, describes Göbekli Tepe as a ritual aggregation point, a place where communities gathered before permanent farming began. But some researchers whisper a different theory. that Göbekli Tepe was more than a sanctuary. It was a center of knowledge, an ancient calendar, maybe even a repository of myth encoded in stone. And if those underground structures exist, they might preserve a version of human prehistory we've never seen. Imagine descending into the buried layers through a narrow shaft, torchlight flickering against stone. You find carvings older than any known writing, symbols repeating across walls, suns, crescents, vultures, the same motifs that later appear in Sumerian, Egyptian, and Indus Valley art. Coincidence or inheritance? What if Göbekli Tepe wasn't built in isolation, but by a network of early ritual cultures stretching across Ice Age Eurasia, people who gathered to exchange myth, technology, and cosmic knowledge? What if the site was a neural node of prehistory, where ritual served as communication, not religion? Some suggest the backfilling wasn't abandonment but preservation, a ritual act to seal away knowledge before the coming flood, before climate collapse, before memory itself was erased. It's speculation, yes, but grounded in data, because something did happen around 8000 BCE. And whoever built Göbekli Tepe knew how to respond, by hiding what mattered. History echoes. When Stonehenge appeared millennia later, its builders also aligned stones with stars, carved symbols, and buried phases beneath new ones. Newgrange in Ireland, built around 3200 BCE, uses light and burial in the same intertwined way. Across continents, the pattern repeats. Humans build, bury, rebuild, as if reenacting a memory they can't articulate. Maybe Göbekli Tepe was the first expression of that memory. A cycle older than agriculture itself, the compulsion to carve meaning into stone, then return it to the earth. Now, the new scanning data suggests Göbekli Tepe may have layers of this cycle, architecture stacked upon architecture. If confirmed, it wouldn't just push back civilization. So what lies beneath Göbekli Tepe? Maybe it's nothing more than collapsed stone, twisted geology. But maybe it's another circle, another ring of pillars buried deeper still, older, more precise, more deliberate. If so, then this single hill in southern Turkey is not just a monument, it's a message. A message from a people we thought were primitive. A people who looked at chaos, the end of the Ice Age, and responded by building order. Every buried pillar, every sealed chamber, every radar echo tells the same story. That long before we wrote our first word, we already believed in something greater. In pattern, in ritual, in the idea that meaning could be carved, preserved, and hidden for those who would someday return. And now, through the language of science, we are returning, listening, scanning, peeling away layers of time with waves of light. Each new discovery draws us closer to the truth. That civilization did not begin with cities, it began with belief. And beneath Göbekli Tepe, that belief is still waiting, silent, buried, and alive.